Well, this all begs the question now of why so many in the Obama administration are willing to say something the president isn't. John Avlon joins me now. CNN political contributor Margaret Hoover is with us here in the studio. Also happens to be the better half of John, Republican strategist who deals with policy issues. More of her biography on the left side of the screen, so you get to know her. And Democratic strategist Jamal Simmons joins us in Washington. All right, great to have all of you with us. John, let me start with you, though. The president, when he was a state senator, supported gay marriage. Then he got in office and realized, politically, maybe you got to be more careful. So he said his views are evolving. But Joe Biden sort of has put him in his spot, right? Is the president now going to be forced to say yes or no, not on, something ambiguous, but on gay marriage itself?
Well, I think certainly there's pressure building on the president among the Democratic base. And what Joe Biden and the cabinet secretary said, I think, reflects the growing conventional wisdom within the Democratic base. The problem the president has, of course, is that the elections are won with swing voters in swing states, like North Carolina. And while this president can point to successes in advancing gay civil rights much more than, I think, any other president, that final step would leave him open to a series of negative attacks that could really alienate swing voters. So while he's going to be feeling that pressure, I don't think it's a done deal.
What do you think, Margaret?
You never know what the president's going to do. It's going to depend on his polls. But just because his vice president isn't for it, just because his education secretary has a different view than he does. Remember, in George W. Bush's administration that I worked in, the vice president also had a different view. Vice President Cheney was not for a national amendment to the Constitution for same-sex marriage, and President Bush, of course, was for it and campaigned on it. So there can be diversity of opinion. The one thing I'll say is that Republicans, the national perception is Republicans are all against gay marriage. All of them are against it. And the truth is, there have been 285 legislators, Republican legislators across the country that have voted for freedom to marry, civil unions, or domestic partnerships in the last few years. So there is, I think, some tectonic shifts happening in the Republican Party that have not percolated up to the top of the national scene yet.
So, Jamal, do you think the president will be forced or choose to go out on a limb and do this? And is it something that could really galvanize his base, where he's looking, I think, in some ways, Jamal, really to galvanize some of the people who voted for him last time around that aren't as passionate this time?
I think most Democrats don't see people not being that passionate in the base for the president. The people are actually really happy about the president. There's a poll out just this week that showed that there's far more enthusiasm in the Democratic base for Barack Obama than there is in the Republican base for Mitt Romney. But on this issue of gay marriage, it is possible the president is genuinely conflicted. It's not a slam dunk. He's from Chicago. There's a lot of people in the African-American community who are conflicted on this issue. And you talk about the politics of it. It's not just North Carolina and Virginia. Think about union voters in western Pennsylvania, suburban Detroit and Michigan, across Ohio. There are a lot of people in the country who have not made up their mind on this issue. And I think that is probably, if there are politics there, they're weighing in on that front.
And John, is North Carolina going too far? I'm really curious about this because, the state already banned same-sex marriages, right? So this this thing they're voting on tomorrow essentially makes it in the Constitution, so it would ban any kind of union at all. Do most people in North Carolina realize that? And is this something that's going to really end up hurting, frankly, Mitt Romney?
Well, I don't know if it will hurt Mitt Romney, but you make a really important point. This isn't just banning gay marriage. That's already done in North Carolina. This is enshrining that in the Constitution, but also something else. This would ban civil unions or domestic partnerships. So this really is an additional step. And the polls right now show that the forces who want to ban gay marriage and civil unions have an edge in the polls. You're pitting Billy Graham against Bill Clinton. And I think you're already seeing record turnout in early voting. So this is a real force to watch tomorrow because it could have real implications for the fall when North Carolina is going to be a state the Democrats desperately want to win again.
Well, Erin, also think about this. There's these elections that happen in May. There's no Democratic contested primary. There's no Republican contested primary, really. And so you're going to get a very small number of voters that are going to show up in this election. And I bet you the people who are passionate about it, the people who are against gay marriage are far more passionate than the people who are for it.
Jamal, there's some things to remember, though. There's some other ballot initiatives that are going to be on the map. You're going to have Maryland, you're going to have Maine, you're going to have Minnesota, you're going to have Washington State. All of them are going to have ballot bites in November. So North Carolina, they expect to lose. They expect to lose by tight margins. Not tight margins, but I think there's going to be a lot more effort in this race and in these battles, state ballot initiatives coming in November.
Thanks to all three. We appreciate it.